Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology.
Welcome everyone to the Blacks in Technology Bit Tech Talk podcast, a show where we talk to Black people who are engineers, innovators, educators, inventors, change makers, and entrepreneurs doing amazing things in the world of technology. The Bit Tech Talk podcast is where they show how they are stumping the divide by sharing their stories, experiences, ideas, knowledge, and perspective on tech with the Bit community. On this episode of Blacks in Technology Bit Tech Talk podcast, Greg sits down and speaks with Ian Taylor Schlitz. Ian is the CEO and founder of Kidlamity. Kidlamity is a company that allows you to organize and host a custom and private video game tournament. The company has a focus on kids between the ages of 8 through 16, as most gaming tournaments are heavily dominated by people in their 20s and 30s. Kidlamity was created to help change that and provide a younger audience with a type of welcoming environment where direct social interactions for kids can take place through video game tournaments. Ian has also had academic success attending and graduating from college at the University of North Texas as a young teen. And here's our host for this episode of the Bit Tech Talk podcast, our founder, Greg Greenlee.
Ian, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
No problem. So our first traditional question that we like to ask our guests is tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit where you're from, a little bit about your education, that type of thing.
Okay, well, I'm Ian. I am from California. I'm originally born in California. We moved to Texas around, some time ago, like 10 years ago. No, yeah, about 10 years ago, actually. Yeah. So most of my life I grew up in Texas, but I was originally born in California. As you probably already know, I am a senior in college, and I'll be graduating next semester when I'm 15. And that's pretty much all about me.
Wow. So 15 years old, senior in college.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna dig into that because that's impressive by itself.
Yeah.
So right now you're 14 now?
I am 15.
You're 15. So did you recently turn 15?
Yeah, I turned 15 on October 25th.
Okay, happy belated. So I was reading a little bit about your background. And your parents pulled you out of public school at 8. Is that correct?
Yeah. Around 8 or 7 years old. Yeah.
Okay. So tell us what that experience was like. Cause most of us, a lot of us, grew up in going to, traditional public school and things like that. What was that experience like to be pulled out at 8 years old?
Well, okay. At first I didn't really know what was happening. So my parents had told me I was going to homeschool, and I didn't really think much of it because, I was 8. But when I did get pulled out, we started actually doing the whole homeschooling part. To be honest, I actually was happier there because when I'd go to school, right, I'd go to public school. Mm-hmm. And when I'd go, there were all these, all the kids were there. And it sounds weird to say, but when I was there, I did not like the kids. They were all annoying, and I found them really annoying, and it was just distracting. So, I was fine going to school, but, it was more of a, balance type of thing. I didn't like it, didn't hate it. But when I was pulled out and my parents told me, you just be you, basically, you can solely work on you. You don't want to, no other distractions of students. I loved that because the only thing I didn't like about school was the students. Now, since they're gone, school was fun, So, I took a lot of online courses, did a lot of textbooks and stuff. So that was fun for me because I didn't have to have the distraction of the other kids. I didn't if I had a question, right, I wouldn't have to wait my turn because there were multiple kids with different questions. Right. So it felt a lot better to me actually, rather than because I know some people would think could be lonely, could be a huge transition, but no, I enjoyed it there.
So it was more so the kids, not that they. How do I put this in a polite way? It wasn't like they got on your nerves per se, but it was more or less that things like maybe a kid will crack a joke in class, or you wanted to focus more on being educated, learning, and there were kids there that were not as focused, and that caused you to not like the experience of
exactly
being there with kids. Okay,
because they kept interrupting and stuff, and it was like, we're here to learn, so could you not basically
right.
Yeah.
So how did your parents kind of compensate for the absence of like that social interaction? So what was that like?
Well, in terms of socialization, for one, before I get into different programs and stuff I'm in, I do want to point out that just because you get pulled out of school doesn't mean you can't meet up with the same kids. Like I know I had a few friends in school, and even though I technically, I wouldn't see them as much because I didn't go to school, we could easily meet up outside of school, which is arguably more fun than being in school while socializing, because we got to meet up and go to the movies, go to the arcade rather than in a classroom, So that's one thing. Another thing is my parents had enrolled me in a few things. Alpha Academy, which is a program through Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I'm in the Fort Worth chapter. We have Jack and Jill of America, DFW Mid-Cities chapter. And what these things were is basically for me or my socialization, because, as we said before, since I was homeschooled, I didn't go to school. So it's a fair question to ask, well, you're not getting as much, or it'd be fair to assume that I'm not getting as much socialization as kids would be in school with a whole bunch of other kids. But through these programs of fraternities, it allowed me to get that same socialization in an even more fun way, in my opinion. I'd rather socialize outside of school than in school. So, yeah.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And so you're currently in what college are you attending right now again?
University of North Texas, UNT.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, I mean, tell us a little bit about that experience as a 14-year-old in a college. I mean, a lot of people have a hard time with college when they're 18, 19 or older, let alone being, and you say you're a senior. So, when did you start college, and tell us a little bit about like what your experience was like.
Okay, so I started college at 12, so basically 3 years ago, because I am a senior after all. And going to college before COVID, at least, so when I actually went up to college, it was actually okay. At first I thought it'd be weird because all my classmates are like 20 to like, some of them were even 30 because they were going back to college.
Right.
So it was like 20 to 30 year olds. Like the youngest person there had to be like 20 or 21. So it was already, at least it felt like it'd be awkward. But as I started going to the classes more and more, I realized that the people there didn't treat me any different. Like they'd ask me, like sometimes like I get a few questions like, oh, how old are you? You look pretty young. But when I'd say, I'm 14 or 15, they just wouldn't be like weird. I'd be like, okay, that's cool. And then you get back to treating me like a normal person, I figured like I would be isolated, like, oh, wait, I'm the young kids in the classroom that don't stay away from him basically. But no, everybody was really supportive actually. And they said it was great that I was doing this. They said, I'm going to do great things. And it was very welcoming actually. So I think it was actually pretty fun. So
nice. And what are you currently studying?
What am I currently studying? Like what classes am I currently enrolled in?
Oh, well, what's your major, I should say?
Oh, my major is integrated studies. It's it's not a specific major bound to one subject. It's basically a major that allows me to explore my options because because like when I chose my major, I didn't really know what I wanted to do for a living. And I wanted a major where I could explore my options, of course, but also gain credit because I didn't want to stay in college forever. So, we came up, or, we made my advisor and they suggested, integrated studies, which is a major that was perfectly matched what I was looking for. So I wouldn't say, I'm studying anything in particular, but I'm still exploring my options.
What's up, everyone? We hope that you're enjoying this episode of the Blacks in Technology Bit Tech Talk podcast. Do you or someone you know have a dope story that they want to share with our Bit audience? Blacks in Technology is seeking guests to be on our podcast. We're looking to highlight the journeys and experiences of Black women and men in the tech industry. So if you know of someone, send them our way. Shoot us an email to contact us at blacksintechnology.net or click on the link in the show notes and fill out our form. We're looking to hear from you. go back just a little bit. Because you have a sister as well, who's also in college.
Yeah.
And she's not as young as you, but she is young. So what was the what's the environment like at your home as far as, I mean, because obviously you two are, you know, smarter than the average, right?
Yeah.
You know, kind of what is home life like? Like, well, how did your parents, you know, because I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of people that are interested in hearing, like, what are your parents doing right? So maybe they can take some of that and implement it with their kids, right? Because they obviously would love for their kids to turn out the way you all are turned out. So what was that? What's that home environment like?
The home environment, well, although I can't say, it feels like it'd be normal because for us, it is a norm. You know, it's basically every day, you know, we wake up, eat breakfast together, eat lunch together. Like, it's nothing different. Because I know people are like probably assuming like, oh, if they're in debt, they must have a completely different structure of how they do things. And that's not really the case. We do all the normal stuff together. It's just, you know, when your kid comes home from school and they're doing homework, instead of it's fourth grade homework, it's college work. So it's the same feeling of, you know, you're doing homework, you're spending time with your family. And I don't think it would be any different, like in terms of the home structure, if I was in, you know, normal school, if I was doing any other school, because it's the same mindset of, all right, I'm going to work now, you know, my family's working, we're going to have breakfast, we're going to have lunch, we're going to have dinner, all that stuff. So I don't think there's, or at least I don't, because, you know, I only have it from my perspective, but I would think that we have it quite normal. Like, it's nothing too special. It's just, yeah, we're the average family just doing things a bit differently.
So with that being said, then what's the curriculum like then at home? Because I guess what I'm trying to get to find out here is that your story, being a 14-year-old about to graduate, or 15-year-old, I'm sorry, about to graduate college. You have a sister, a year or two older than you, and pretty much on the same track.
Yeah.
Like, what's the curriculum that you all had to endure or go through at home from a academic standpoint? Like, obviously there has to be an accelerated curriculum for you all in order to be able to go, you know, you get, you know, taken out of school at 8 years old, and then you get put on this track or this path, this kind of fast track to an accelerated learning path, right? So what is that like? What did your parents do differently?
Well, as you already know, it was homeschooling. And basically what was entailed in homeschooling was, like I said earlier, we take online classes, and, you know, my mom would occasionally teach you, she'd get textbooks. Like, it was school, but without all the time it took. Cause like, my mom believes that kids in school, it shouldn't take as long as it does. So it wasn't necessarily a rush thing. It was excusing all the breaks, all the stuff that normal schools get. Like, for example, like any sort of like Groundhog's Day, for example. When a normal school would get that off, we didn't. So it's like, it wasn't like it was overworked. It's just that my mom, when she was teaching us, or she was our, you know, when she taught us and sent us up for all this, she said, tell me, you know, she believes that not all these breaks are necessary. Like, why Groundhog? Why? So, you know, I feel like, but the main way was just through doing, just like when everybody else was slacking, we were working, basically. So I feel like it wasn't too different in a way. It was just that we worked ahead when everybody else was taking a break, when everybody else was on their break, like summer break, like even winter break. I'm still taking a class on winter break. So there isn't really a whole break, which isn't a bad thing, because, you know, we do want to graduate college soon, and I'm perfectly in line with this. But, you know, I feel like it's just because the lack of everything else that basically, I don't want to say excuses, but I don't know how else to phrase it. Like, excuses is like not work as hard. We just don't have that here. So, you know. So
your mom essentially like trimmed the fat, right? From from out of the school year, right? She
and the class didn't take that long. So
yeah, I like that. Efficient. Trimming the fat from what a typical school year looks like. And nice. And you know, I'm a father of two younger boys, and so everything now is basically virtual and things like that, and you can tell, like, obviously you can cut a lot of the nonsense out or trim the fat, because now your school days are over at 1:00 as opposed to being over at like 3:40, like typical, so obviously there's some fat to be trimmed there, right? So
yeah.
Nice. So I want to get into how into your gaming experience, and then I want to talk a little bit about your company, Kidlamity. So,
okay.
So how did you first become interested in gaming?
Well, I had been first interested. Okay, so I've probably been interested in games longer than I can remember, because like I've been playing video games for a long time, and if I try to recall the time where like I really got into games, I remember I had a cousin and he came over and he gave both me and my older sister, you know what Pokemon is? It's 2 Pokemon games. It is basically like a video game where you catch creatures and stuff. And he gave us these 2 cartridges, and we both played it on our DSs that we had. And I feel like ever since then, that's when I really like was into gaming. I was like, this is really fun. Are there more? And then I found this whole franchise, and I feel like that's where it really kicked off for me. And I feel like that's what actually ended up leading up to Kidlamity, because we went to the gaming tournaments because, again, I was really into games. And the whole aspect of the tournament, or when I'd go there, I'd say, is that all the people that were participating, which I didn't really have a problem with, but I did find kind of weird, was that all of them were kind of like college, just 20 older people, like 20, some of them were in their late 30s. It's like, it felt weird for me to be there. And I was like, it's almost like I came to an adult convention, basically, and I was just there. So I figured, because I had online friends and stuff, and I talked to them about this, and when I discussed it with them, and when I discussed my own experiences, we'd all come to the agreement that, well, there's no tournaments that we feel like we're necessarily welcomed in, we're advertised towards. Like all the tournaments are more older people. So I was saying, like, what if there was a gaming, tournament, but it was made for us, like it was advertised towards our age level, or because nobody has that yet.
Yeah, so I want to get into that here in a second, but real quick, what's your go-to game right now?
My go-to game?
Yeah.
If it's not limited to anything console or anything, I would have to go with either Minecraft or Valorant. Those 2 are my 2 go-tos at the moment.
Okay, nice. And so we're talking a little bit about kind of the origins or why you started Kidlamity, and you made reference to tournaments not being marketed and geared towards you. But when people kind of think, I kind of want to get you to explain that a little bit more, because when people think of gaming, like I automatically think young kids, but you're saying no, it's, you get to these tournaments and there's older kids. So how do you go about, I guess, marketing to younger kids when the word gaming to me automatically, to me insinuates younger people?
Yeah. Well, majority of the time when gaming is, mentioned, it's referring to the big conventions like EVO, DreamHack, all those big conventions. And majority of the time when you go to those big conventions, there are older people there, like 90%. Like there are some kids, but the kids aren't there to game most of the time. Like they are, but it's not competing in the tournament. They're just there to see all the cool games and all the cool stands, basically.
Right.
So I feel like when I say marketing towards kids, it's like a convention. Obviously, we're not as big as that, but like a convention. But the audience or the people there would be a bunch of kids rather than a whole bunch of adults and middle-aged people going there. So I know what you're saying, because, gaming, that's often associated with, little kids on their Nintendos or DS, and that's fine. And that's, partially true. But the more bigger, more well-known events are dominated by older people. So that's why, I started Kidlamity, because I feel like we are kids, as you said, who we play games quite often. We should have these opportunities that older people have. And why? And I was thinking somebody should create it. And then I thought to myself, why not me? Like, what is stopping me from doing it? Nothing. So I did it. And here we are. So, I feel like that's one of the main reasons why I started Kidlamity, which, to be honest, I'm glad, because if this wasn't, this wasn't a thing, if this wasn't a problem that I had to realize and discuss, I never would have done it. And this wouldn't be a thing. So I'm somewhat glad that I had the experiences I had, because now it's led me down this path. So, I feel like that's one of the main ways, or one of the main, ways that Kidlamity was originated.
Excellent. And I'll say this, I'm super impressed just, with how you kind of came up with the idea, and not only just came up with it, like plenty of people have ideas. The execution part of it is usually is usually the hard part, right? And so, I mean, just kudos to you for executing on your idea and going out and doing it, as opposed to just saying, I mean, you could have sat up and just complained about it, like, oh, these old folks are not letting me play these games, but instead you said, no, I'm going to create something on my own.
BIT is always focused on forming new partnerships and opportunities to assist the community and our members with their continued professional growth and development. Do you have a product or service that you would like to share with the BIT audience? Or maybe you'd like to support the BIT community and do your part in helping us with stopping the divide? Start by sponsoring one of our podcasts. Please email us at contactus@blacksintechnology.net.
What tell us the business model around Kidlamity. I know it's a business around gaming for kids, but what does that entail?
Well, what it entails is, okay, so basically, for the basic stuff, as I've already said, we host tournaments which are aimed at kids, so kids gather around, get to play tournaments. We're more than that though, because on our website, we're mobile. You can do birthday parties, we can do events, we can do charities, anything. But our primary focus was kids. That was the whole point of starting this. So we're very versatile on our options. Like, we're not limited to tournaments. We can do a lot more. It's just that especially with COVID and stuff, we haven't been able to do that much because of all the nobody wants to have a whole party when COVID's happening, and nobody wants to go to a tournament when COVID's happening. But yeah, I feel like that's probably the main thing that we aim for.
So what's the setup like? Like, what equipment do you have? How do you run us through that whole thing? Someone books you, and then what from there? Yeah.
So usually we host Super Smash Brothers tournaments, which is on the console Nintendo Switch. So when we first started, we bought five Switches, around that, 5 or 6. And what we did is, after we established that we had somewhere to set up, we bring the 5 consoles, and we obviously have, I think it was 2 controllers on each setup, for 2 players. Right. And we basically set up 6 or 5 strips of consoles, and each of them had 2 controllers attached to them, maybe 3, depending on who wanted to play. But most of the time it was 2. And we just set it up along a table, or, a row of tables. And that was pretty much it. We had monitors, of course, for the gameplay to be seen. And we had a live stream on Twitch. And that was pretty much a setup. We haven't necessarily bought more yet because it's COVID, because we haven't been, around for that long anyways. So, when we started out good, which is fine, but since it's COVID, we're not going to upgrade when nobody's there to play it. So we'll wait. So we'll just wait, and that's pretty much what we're doing. So currently we really only have Nintendo Switches, because that's where we started off with. But in the future, I hope that we can, expand our consoles and all of our games and stuff. But yeah.
Nice. So tell me a little bit about the life of a 15-year-old CEO of a company. Like, what is your, outside of college, when it comes to like business operations and things like that, what is your day like?
Well, usually, I guess I'll talk about from the past, I guess, because, currently, like I keep saying, it's COVID, so nothing's really been happening in terms of the business. But back when, COVID wasn't a thing, it was actually pretty casual. Like, we have a site, where people can register and sign up for events and stuff. So we have we at least try. Sometimes it interfere. And a lot of the time we try to have tournaments almost every week. And, to get us consistent, so people know for example, Saturday, we are going to be here at this time hosting a tournament. Consistency is important. So I feel like the business model, or at least for me, you know, as a 15-year-old, or I guess 14-year-old at the time, it wasn't all like it was nothing different from what we had been doing. It's just the same thought process. Okay, we're going to set up here. Oh, somebody has an event. All right, we're going to go over there. Okay, and then we're going to go back to this tournament because we, you know, consistent every Saturday or whatever it was. So I wasn't like, I know some people probably thought, or some people would assume that it's very stressful on me because it's like 15, a whole company and stuff. But I feel like one of the main things that relieves stress is knowing that you did majority or all the work, because I know the ins and outs. So I know everything that's happening, and I feel like preparation can relieve stress. So I wasn't stressed at all because I was prepared. I knew everything that was happening, and nothing, it was like, you know, nothing bad, of course. It was just, you know, we'd set up, play games, and, you know, occasionally have a birthday party, and yeah, it was just a repeat basically. So yeah.
So are people, I know you mentioned that you had kind of like these week, you know, you pretty much had tournaments weekly. Are you setting up in the same place, or, you know, kind of what is that like? And then how are people, are you doing, like, you doing private events? Are people booking you online? What kind of run us through that?
Yeah, I know. We would set up most of the time. First we like, you know, pitch our thing, like, you know, we want to set up here, you know, host tournaments. And sometimes, you know, they say we're good, and, you know, they said yes, or sometimes they say yes. Like Comic Warriors is where we would currently be setting up. Of course, not right now, but where we currently be setting up. And we come back to the same place because we'd be like, yo, for example, every Saturday we are going to come here and set up at this time. Is that fine? And they'd be like, yes or no. And then if it was yes, then in terms of, for this example, we'll go with they said yes. Then we'd come and set up our thing, you know, set up our tournament. And for the whole, you know, I know you asked about the whole events and the private events, birthday parties and all that.
Yeah.
When we show up, and we basically like ask them to show us where we want to set up, because, you know, we bring 6 consoles. It's the same thing. Almost instead of the building or instead of the company, it's a house or whatever they were hosting. So we come over and we're like, all right, we're here. We have the stuff. Where do you want us to set up? And most of the time they have an ideal place where they want to set up. If they don't, we can find one, but most of the time they do. And we just basically set up there, and then it's the same thing, you know, they play, you know, and that's pretty much it. They play, and then once the birthday party's over, you know, we pack up and we take it home.
So how did you all start getting the word out, like to people that, you know, Kidlamity is here, and this is how you book us. This is our, how did you market yourself?
The main way we marketed ourselves was through like Facebook advertisements, like a lot of advertising, mainly through Facebook, actually, because the whole marketing thing was so different, because like we didn't need to have it everywhere, because our idea was already really different in a way where if they saw one ad, a lot of the time after seeing one ad, we get clicks, because we literally had a statistic chart where to show how much time they watched and if they clicked. And majority of the time, the first time they saw it, they clicked. So I feel like the idea is what really got us going, rather than a whole bunch of advertisements everywhere. It was, you know, we had it on Facebook and people were interested because it had never been done before. So I feel like that's our main way of, you know, marketing. When we first started up, of course.
Got you. And your sister, she's currently the chief operating officer.
Yeah.
So what are some of her responsibilities? What do you have, or what is she doing for the company?
Well, what my older sister would do, or at least what she would do, is when she'd be there at the tournaments or at the events, a lot of the time she would monitor, because you know how I talked about earlier about how we had a Twitch stream. She would most of the time monitor that, because at the time that was really like, you know, tournaments weren't that big yet, so we don't need that much, you know, assistance per se, because it was like 20, 30 people that we got it under control. So what she'd do oftentimes is she would monitor the stream, because we'd be streaming the games and on Twitch, and she would make sure everything's going smoothly and stuff. So that's pretty much what she would do when we'd host the tournaments.
The BIT Foundation has established featured partnerships and programs with companies such as Amazon, AT&T, CompTIA, Techstars, and more to provide our members with the resources we want and need to thrive and succeed in this tech ecosystem. To learn more, visit foundation.blacksintechnology.net. Join now, and remember, membership is free.
What do you foresee like the next steps for Kidlamity? Like where are you wanting Kidlamity to go? from here. Obviously post COVID.
Yeah. Ideally, Kidlamity would become a big convention, like I said earlier, Evo, DreamHack. Those are like big gaming conventions,
right?
And eventually, I would want to get us to that point. And I feel like that is the main goal because they're so big and they're so popular. And I feel like if we can get Kidlamity to that stage, it shows that more people can do it. I'm a kid and I could do it. So it opens people's minds to the possibilities. And I feel like that is the main thing. Cause like when I first started Kidlamity, that was when you start something, you sometimes imagine the end goal, the end picture. Right. And that even subconsciously, that was the thing that kept popping in my mind, the convention with everybody there and my, Kidlamity logo on the big screen and stuff. Like that is the dream. So I feel like that's what we're trying to work towards. And, if we keep it up, we probably will get there. So yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. And how can people find Kidlamity? How can people reach out to you to learn more?
Well, one, we have a website, KidlamityGaming.com. We have a website, and we have a Facebook page where there's like a Q&A. You can ask questions and stuff. The same on the website as well. You can ask questions on the website, right. And we just get back to them as soon as possible. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If they have any questions, they can just usually reach out to us there. And we have gotten quite a few questions, which we're happy to answer them. So yeah.
So you say Kidlamity.com and
yeah, KidlamityGaming.com. Let's see. Hold on.
So that's KIDLAMITY.
Yeah, I can put it in chat if you want. Here, I can just call it copy paste. Here you
go. Okay. Yeah, definitely.
There you go. Yeah. But yeah, that's our website where people can go. They can read about how it started. Our mission, events. Upcoming events, okay. Contacts, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely put that in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
Last but not, do you have any last words before we jump? For one, I want to say thanks for coming on.
Oh yeah,
you're definitely a huge inspiration. I can't wait to get this this episode published. I think this will serve as an inspiration for younger people that listen to the show. And even if, there are not a lot of young people that listen to the show, maybe their parents will allow them to listen to this and gain some inspiration from that.
Yeah. I feel like what I want to say is anything is possible in a way, because I know oftentimes people associate age with incompetency. Like you can't, you're not ready. And although I do agree that there does need to be, guidelines and monitoring, I do think that kids don't get enough credit for what they can do. I feel like we can do a lot more if we were pushed to do more. So I feel like the last thing I want to say is, just have an open mind, especially to the parents, because like you said, most of the time it's the parents watching. Have an open mind, and when your kid proposes an idea as big as Kidlamity or anything like Kidlamity, don't just shut it down. Hear out what they have to say. They could have been thinking about this for a while. They could have this could be the next big thing, and all you have to do is listen. So I feel like just have an open mind because the possibilities are unlimited. So yeah.
So I want to end this off with that's super dope that you said that because a lot of times kids get kind of brushed off, or told to, get out of my face, go do something, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And for me as a parent, I've always made sure that I wasn't that way as a parent to make sure that I'm listening and understanding, what my kids are saying, what they want and things like that. And being able to allowing them to be able to express themselves and be open about their interests and things like that. Because, obviously as a kid, like my son right now, he's 11. He's super into gaming. He's, super into Fortnite and things like that. And YouTube videos and things. And he's saying, I want to be a YouTube this. I want to be a gamer this. And I'm just like, hey, if that's what you want to do, you just make sure that you practice, make sure that you're the best at it, learn the ins and outs if that's what you want to do. I don't say, that's stupid. You need to do this and get a 9 to 5 and blah, 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 blah. There's no need to shoot kids down about their ambitions or anything like that. Prop them up, give them some guidance, give them the tools to be successful and the knowledge and they'll do it. So, So Ian, I definitely want to thank you for coming on the podcast. best of luck. Not that you'll need it. You sound like a very intelligent and ambitious young man. So I think you have a lot going for you. And keep in touch with Blacks in Technology, man. And we'll reach out to you sometime in the future and see catch up and see what's going on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Take care.
You too.
Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology.